Welcome to the lab. Terps, we go through so much, and I'm only one person. I can't give all the experience. You all have so much experience that we all need to share with each other. So, because of that, I set out on a mission to gather the craziest stories interpreters have. The goods, the bads, the ugly. We want to put all the stories here on display for one goal for us to learn from it. We might laugh at it too, some might cry. But this is Tales of a Terp. The first story comes from an interpreter named James. Now, James is a male interpreter in his early 30s. He's been interpreting for 7+ years. James is not nationally certified, but he does hold his BEI basic since 2021. James is primarily a medical interpreter, but is starting to get into freelance more. And he says that he does enjoy voicing. I don't know how you can enjoy voicing, but you know what, James? Props to you. In any case, here's an assignment, a government setting that James will never forget.
When he arrived, the scene was almost festive. Like music played, refreshments were set out, and the mood was relaxed. Yet, James knew that the stakes were high. This was an agency wide event, and his deaf client was one of the presenters, addressing a diverse audience of colleagues and superiors. To complicate matters, he had never met his team interpreter before, nor had he had the chance to connect with the deaf client ahead of time. The client just arrived moments before the presentation began, but he did see some of his signing style. He saw that it was pretty much an English word order. The presentation started off smoothly, but James and his co-interpreter were on edge because of previous presenter's highly technical presentation. They were determined to ensure that their deaf client's words carried the exact same weight, power, and clarity as everyone else's. Then the unexpected happened. As the deaf client began his speech, James found himself interpreting the phrase. James hesitated for a split second. He felt the weight of the silence in the room. Did his client mean people of color or colored people? He needed to clarify immediately. But the response from the client was vague. His team interpreter, who could have offered support, was distracted on her phone. So, left to make a decision on his own, James chose to interpret the phrase as it had been signed. The atmosphere changed. Someone stood up seeking clarity from what was just said, and James interpreted the question back to the client, who insisted that there was no difference between the terms. The situation escalated. Presentation came to an abrupt halt. James watched his client pull out a phone, recording the whole scene as the room buzzed with confusion. Inside James was fear, doubt, frustration, uncertainty. Had James really made the right choice? Should he have softened the impact of the message? Should he have culturally mediated? Or was it his duty to interpret what was signed? James did manage to stay composed. He focused on explaining his decision to the client, even though the outcome was disastrous. He had conversations with trusted colleagues that offered mixed feedback. Some people felt he made a crucial error, while others commended him for adhering to the professional ethics even in a challenging situation. Opinions were divided, but one thing was certain. James had faced a pivotal moment in his interpreting career.
Woo, James. James going through it. In my conversation with James, I wanted to ask more about how the story ended. Here's what he said. James said that the lesson that he took away from this exactly wasn't clear cut. It wasn't a right or wrong answer, he says. He says that he did realize the importance of every time he has an assignment. Doesn't matter if the client is late or not. He will always take time to connect with the client beforehand. James also says that he is reminded of the delicate balance that interpreters must maintain, representing a deaf person's voice while navigating cultural and linguistic differences that can make even a single phrase feel like, and I quote, stepping on a minefield. Definitely, because colored people. Whew, all right. James goes on to say his advice to other interpreters facing similar situations is to know yourself. You must be comfortable with conflict and you must understand your duty as interpreters. If you are not ready for these moments, it's something that you should consider improving upon. James also emphasizes that interpreters need to allow deaf clients the space to make mistakes if it is theirs to make. He says, because everyone learns through their experiences. And for James, this experience taught him resilience, the value of staying calm under pressure, and the importance of trusting his instincts, even when the consequences are beyond his control. Quite a story, James. Quite a story indeed. I hope you all got something from their story. What did you think of how James handled this situation? Would you have done anything differently? Was there something that James missed? Was there something that James could not have done? So he did as best as he could do. Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you're liking, commenting, and subscribing. But then also set notifications. And if you have a crazy story that you want to share, make sure you email me at this email below and I will highlight your story if it's crazy enough. You've been in the lab. Now let's go get that work. Hey.